Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles' Sunday online service. I'm Todd Alsop. I am your musical guest today. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get things started. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see your obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Yeah, it's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue skies. Whoa, yeah, yeah. I can see clearly now, the red is gone. I can see your obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Yeah, it's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Hey, it's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
It is. Hello, Todd Alsop.
Hello. And just like
We're
that,
in
the sun is like beating down through my window. Can you see the
It's
shadow
so
on me?
ironic that both were in the same color sweater, and you're singing of it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day. How the rain is gone, the sun is beaming in on your face, and it is pouring rain here in Los Angeles.
And that's wishful thinking for all of you. You'll be able to see clearly
it's like
once
it
the
could
rain is
not
gone.
be more angelic, right?
Yeah.
That it's actually raining here, which it hasn't done in 8 months in this city. So, I love when you said you were choosing this song to open with. I think it's just the perfect song. So, Mr. Alsop, it's so good to have you back with us.
Likewise. Good to be here. Thank you.
Good. So we'll see more of you throughout the service, and it's so good to have Todd with us, and it's so good for me to be back, everyone. I was away last week and actually had the great pleasure to meet Todd in person last week, as he was in Palm Springs, as I was also in Palm Springs. He was there. We were in different categories. I was there celebrating my birthday and hanging out with friends, and he was there performing with the one and only Varla Jean Merman, and I got to see their show, and it's just so much fun as always, and just magnified both Varla's talent and Todd's talent, as well as it was so wonderful after all these years to get to meet Todd in person. So wonderful. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. We come together on Sunday mornings to remember who we are as divine beings, and to take the power of the divine energy that exists within us, that we both express and experience through our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and our reactions, using our mind to make a decision in life, to not live in denial, but to understand the power of our mind to choose it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day when in fact it is pouring rain. Not discounting or denying the physicality of life, but remembering that it's through the use of our mind we can declare a state of mind prior to it becoming form, and therefore change our experience. The very core belief of our philosophy, faith, way of life, known as the science of mind, is change your thinking, change your life. That's what that song is all about. Todd's going to have many more songs like that for us throughout the day. I want to know that you are in the perfect and right place to be this morning, wherever you may be, and whether you're joining us through Zoom or YouTube Live or at a later date through our website or one of our social media platforms. I celebrate and honor you just where you are and just as you are. So it's time to move into the next part of our service, which I'm going to put on the screen, our opening slides. And so we are known as this, we're not just known, we are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Our vision statement is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. We affirm that for all individuals, both as an invitation and as a declaration and affirmation, and know that for all of us, that it takes on a different meaning at different phases of our life, because that is the nature of life. We like to begin, each service by opening with an act of namaste, a greeting, a meeting of soul to soul with each and every individual. And it seems awkward, I know, to do that in a virtual space, but yet it's an act of engaging in really what the lyrics of the song is to make a decision to use our mind in a way to create an experience that we desire to have. And that's a collective shared experience right now. So I invite you, wherever you may be, if it's safe, as long as you're not driving and you need to have your hands on the wheel, or to say the wheels on your hand, to open your hands, bring them together in prayer position, place them on your chest, on your heart. So let's take a deep breath in together and exhale. And as we do that again, open our mind's eye, our third eye as it shows in the graphic on the screen, and our crown chakra, to begin to imagine not only feeling the energy of this act of namaste, the divine in me honors and acknowledges that within you, but as we exhale and lean forward, we can use our mind's eye to invite in all of those who are on this broadcast and live stream and present or later date, and then connect to the oneness of life that we all are, honoring it, appreciating it, expressing it and giving it, and receiving it back. Namaste. As a community, we welcome, and I think this has such pertinent and deep meaning, given what's unfolded in the US of A in the last week, to just listen to these words and let this be a mantra for all of us in life. As a community, we welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, and all abilities. We stand with you, and you are safe here. And then to use the visual on the screen of all the different expressions of humanity, hearing my favorite Ernest Holmes quote, in a new way today, Spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. Each one of us are an individualized expression of that which is. We know that our words have power as we use them with great verbose nature and with great sense of pride when we say this together. And I invite you to say it. We welcome one and we welcome all. To allow ourselves to feel that just as if it's another act of namaste. As a community, we come together to teach primarily the philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind. The science of mind is a collective of writings, ideas, beliefs that were presented by Ernest Holmes. This past week, he would have celebrated, should he still be walking planet Earth, 138 earthly years. And so let's say happy Earth Day to you, Ernie, wherever you may be. But in this philosophy, faith, and way of life, it's condensed down into really these components, that There's only one power in the universe. We are that power. We individualize that power. We experience and express it, think it, use it through our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our reactions, and interactions with the very thing itself. We have the stamp of individuality put upon us, and it's been called us, meaning that we are an individualized expression of the only thing there is, that one life, one mind, one power. And that we experience it and express its innate nature, which includes peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom, to the degree that we become conscious of those, because we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law. And that means that that which we think, believe, act upon, react as, and interact with is responded to by the law of life, meaning that it brings back to us through us experiences of life that are reflective of how we know ourselves to be as an individualization of the only thing there is. That can be both daunting and taxing, as well as freeing. And the freeing part of it comes into play when we realize and accept that we are co-creators in our universe. We create our life by means of how we practice and participate in being the thing itself, this one and only infinite power that there is. Therefore, as a community, our role here is to support each and every individual, finding their personal self-empowerment through spiritual awakenings, that remembrance of who we are as beings of the thing itself, life. And so today I invite all of us to open up to that remembrance and to invite in a new way of being the thing itself. Just making one little adjustment in our life. Through the act of remembrance and a desire and intention for remembrance can change the outcome. A very simple approach to change your thinking, change your life. We open our services every Sunday morning with a ritual called Calling in the Light, also known as the Flames of Faith. And the purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a more conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. And so as we look at the candle that was on the screen as a virtual candle, let's allow ourselves to awaken to the light itself, opening up to that spiritual awakening as we hear these words. We light this virtual candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, that which is known as the natural way, as well as we light it for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality, and for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion, as well as for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Remembering we welcome one and welcome all, and all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion, as well as all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love, and all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling, and for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and of peace, and for all forms of new thought, that which we practice here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles and in centers throughout the world. For all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And then we declare this candle, this virtual candle, the healing candle. I ask you to take a moment and think of someone that you would like to silently put into the light of the healing flame, which I encourage should include yourself, so that all today may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. I'd like to share this Buddhist prayer of forgiveness and invite each of us in to let it resonate with us. In this way. If I have harmed anyone in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through my own confusions, I ask their forgiveness. If anyone has harmed me in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through their own confusions, I forgive them. And if there's a situation I'm not yet ready to forgive, I forgive myself for that. And for all the ways that I harm myself, negate, doubt, belittle myself, judge, or be unkind to myself through my own confusions, I forgive myself. Todd's going to come on and we're going to sing the song together, Calling in the Light. And as we sing it, let's let it be a conduit, an act, an conscious act of moving into this act of forgiveness.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Sing this with me. I am love. I am peace in my heart. I am free. I am spirit. I am soul. All together we are whole. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
And so it is. So it is. So Todd, it's not only good to have you back, but I hear you're about to head out on the road again.
I am. I just got booked on 2 cruise gigs next month, so I get to escape the winter cold in New York,
Good for
which
you.
is great. Yeah, so I'm hitting the road that way, and then we got a couple dates with Varla to kind of get out of town too, so that'll be
Oh,
nice.
good. And you're developing a new show, I hear.
I'm developing a new show for Provincetown.
Oh, you want to tell us anything about it?
Oh, sure. It's about Madonna.
Who's that? The Virgin Mary Madonna?
Who's that? Never heard of her. Did she ever do anything interesting? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Good. I love it. I love it. I love it. So you've curated some music for us this morning that's it's appropriate for our theme, both how it works or how to use it, as well as the last Sunday of the month, A New Dawn Has Dayed. So what song do you have for us now?
This little ditty called Happy Days Are Here Again.
Yeah.
I'm really in the mindset of like the reset, you know, I have to sort of like reframe my thinking all the time. And I think that it's
We're about
what we're talking
remembering
about.
that choice is the engine of evolution. If we choose to think consciously, we will evolve consciously. Alrighty, take it away.
So long, sad times, go long, bad times. We are rid of you at last. Howdy, gay times, cloudy, gray times. You are now a thing of the past. here again. The skies above are clear again. So let's sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. All together, shout it now. There's no one who can doubt it now. So let's tell the world about it now. Happy days are here again. Your cares and troubles are gone. There'll be no more from now on. From now on. Happy days are here again. The skies above are clear again. So let's sing a song of cheer again. Happy times, happy nights, happy days are here again.
Fantastic. Just beautiful. And really, what it did for me was it prompted me to literally have to think about, are there happy days here again, right? And who gets to decide that? I do, right? It's about, as I was having a conversation with a friend this week, of remembering that we can hold more than one idea at a time, right? Right, so fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm so happy to be back, and a big thank you to Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt for being here last week to cover for me when I was away. And I know that she shared all kinds of wonderful wisdom. I watched it later, and I just love Dr. Maureen, and I love her perspective on things, and it's very healthy, and it's so wonderful to have us be reminded of old school metaphysics and the power of mind that we all have at our disposal, if you will, and to, I'm getting some crazy light there, and then to use our mind in a way that is effective to the best of our ability as often as we can remember to do that. I'm going to turn this light off. There, I think that took care of that, right? It did. So, we now are wrapping up the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind book, or the intro chapters that are considered the foundational components of this teaching, and that's done in centers around the world for the first 4 Januaries of the month or the year, the first 4 Januaries of the year each year. And this morning I want to talk about vision and execution in regards to doing exactly what Todd's music has invited us to do today, is to make a decision as to how we want to curate and contour, I used that term a couple of weeks ago, our thinking in a way to be causative, to be the creative force in the world that we want to experience. Both, yes, that is the world at a global level, that's the world at the macro level, because that's important to both our own consciousness and the collective consciousness, but almost most importantly, and definitely I think most importantly, how we create our own world of effect, moment by moment by moment. This quote that I want to share that I love, and many of you have heard me use this quote before, is vision without execution is just hallucination. People attribute it to everyone from Edison to Einstein. Someone has traced it back actually to a Japanese proverb. And the proverb goes like this: vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. Hear that again. Vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. No matter who said it first, it makes a good point. We need a creative vision in life to make change in the world, both at that macro and micro level I just spoke of. But it's also important for us to know that vision alone is not enough. We also need to execute that vision to make the change real. I was drawn to this teaching, and I used the comment earlier about change your thinking, change your life. Yes, it is that simplistic, as well as it's not that simplistic. It's important for us to understand that it's to take the information that we have through this philosophy, faith, way of life, and then apply it in our everyday life to the best of our ability as frequently as possible. The quote that Ernest Holmes is attributed to in regards to this approach is this, and it's probably one of my top 5 Ernie Holmes quotes, along with Spirit has placed a stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you, and it is this: information without application is hallucination. Information without application is hallucination. It's the perfect quote to build upon, which was the first chapter titled The Thing Itself, that broke down the power that is the universal, infinite, all creative power that is both infinite and all encompassing and everywhere at once, all the time, as well as individualized through you and through me. The second is what it does. Well, what it does is it exists, it vibrates, it pulsates, it gives life, right? It is that which is life itself. It's an animating principle of being, Holmes calls it. Well, how does it work? Well, it works by responding to us by providing a corresponding state of life, a corresponding state of effect or condition. Going back to what I said earlier, that is both freeing and enslaving, if we allow it to be that. My philosophy in providing a safe space for us to find personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening is to tune into that and allow it to provide more freedom to us with each thought, with each action, with each interaction, with each reaction, to the best of our ability as often as we can. Meaning that try not to get overwhelmed by the all-encompassing aspect of life itself, and to look at how to use it in a way is that we use it thought by thought. Change your thinking, change your life. The way that you change your thinking is by changing your thoughts. And, which I'm going to get into a little bit further this morning, is to do that in a non-judgmental way. In other words, you don't want to beat yourself up whether you are or are not rising to the occasion of the vision that you've set forth for yourself. And sometimes, and most often, the vision simply is to do this, to be the thing itself more and more and more to the best of our ability. Holmes addresses this concept of how to use it, and using this philosophy of faith, the way of life, in the beginning of this 4th chapter called How to Use It. I'm going to read it to us right now. He writes this: one of the great difficulties in the new order of thought, meaning that we're choosing to think in a new way in regards to the thing itself, the power, life, and our own creative abilities. And once again, this was all published in 1926, so it was really new in the Western world in this way. One of the great difficulties in the new order of thought is that we're likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. Find that in your own life? I know I do at times. The key is to let that concept sink in and then change your thinking around how you feel about yourself with that. It's really about how you feel. It's about saying, yeah, that's been my reality. All right, I'm changing it today. And just letting that be what it is without beating yourself up or thinking, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Or, oh my God, I failed. All that's crap. You don't need that. Change your thinking. Start anew. He goes on to then say, as a matter of fact, we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. In other words, we only know who and what we are as a stamp, an individualized stamp of the thing itself, and that we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law, and it responds to us by corresponding and providing an experience in life that is reflective to the totality of our thoughts. And the only way that we know what we know is to look at our life, right? And the key to that looking at our life is then to look at it and not being judgmental about it, to look at it objectively. That is an outward expression, that experience, that is what he's talking about. It's how we're proving an actual demonstration of a state of mind that is non-judgmental but objective as to how our life is, then tuning into the vision that we would like to hold for it to be different. You guys want to hear that? Then about the vision that we want to hold for it to be different. moment by moment, thought by thought, frequency by frequency, tuning in by tuning in. He goes on to say, that which we cannot prove may or may not be true, but to that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth. In this philosophy, it's called the spiritual truth. He goes on to say, of course, the theory of any scientific principle goes beyond its application at any given stage of its accomplishments. If this were not true, there would be no progress in any science. There's been great progress in the science of mind over the years. It's been proven that our minds have the ability to impact our reality, and not only just in a big picture sense, but through the act of affirmative prayer, we can change the physical biology of our life. Many of us have had experiences in life of healing through the use of the way that we use our mind, both in the physical sense and just the applicable aspects of our life itself. All of that is important, but what's most important is to understand that it really comes down to the individual and how we use our mind and who and what we're willing to tune our mind into, and then how we're willing to share and give that. He goes on to write, the sciences are objectively real to us, individually and collectively, only insofar as we demonstrate them, and until demonstrated, they're suppositional. As so far as practical results are concerned, if there is any field of research where the practical application is necessary, it's the metaphysical field, the science of mind and related New Thought teachings. The reason being that the principle of metaphysics seems less tangible to the average person than does the principle of other sciences, like gravity, let's just say, right? The question is, how do you use the principle of metaphysics? And are you willing today to make a commitment, not because it serves me, but because it serves you in a greater way, to using it more consciously, more purposefully, more directly, and more intentionally? He goes on to close this component of the chapter by saying, as a matter of fact, all principles are intangible, but the world at large has not yet come. Once again, I think this has changed a lot 100 years later, has not yet come to consider the principle of mental practice in the same light as it considers other given principles of life or action. That is indeed changing day by day. I witnessed it recently. I had the Today Show or something on, or one of those morning shows. And there was like this 34, and I'm not saying this begrudgingly, I'm just saying this matter of fact, there was like this 34-year-old woman on there. And I say that in the context of not like some old preacher person, but a 34-ish-year-old woman there espousing with great conviction and experience the principles of metaphysics, and talking to people and being used as a guest there of really the power of our thought, the power of confirmation, the power of affirmation, the power of decision, all of the stuff that so many of us have been practicing for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and certainly prior to becoming mainstream, and it is becoming more and more and more and more mainstream. One could be upset about that. My own reflection was, oh, wow, I could have done that. And then process, I'm like, what does it, that's not, I am doing that right here and right now. And yay, it's becoming more mainstream. It all comes down to what is our perspective on it all. Today, we're here to take a new thought approach to the principles of mental practice by looking at some of the old school stuff. You know, one of the things I think we're called to do, and Dr. Maureen talked about this last week a little bit, is to become a more conscious practitioner of the principles of this teaching. Practitioner in our traditional sense is someone who's been trained and licensed to work with individuals to help them curate and contour their thinking in a way to effectively change their life. I think, yes, it's important to have those individuals. I'm one. We have several here at our center and many throughout the movement. But really the concept of a practitioner is one who practices using their mind in a way to effectively impact their life. Today, I want you to make a commitment to take inventory of when, how, and if you do indeed practice using this mental principle in a way to affect change in your life. It's so wonderful that Todd, who's not a traditional metaphysician, did it with the opening songs today, made a decision to use opening songs as well as the one he'll use after my message, to prompt us to think in a new way, to not let the external of the world be the basis from which we make a decision as to how we want to show up and be in life. Today, I invite you to take an inventory of your practicing and choose to do that without judgment, but to make a commitment to become more of a mental practitioner with great discernment. To be a conscious evolutionist is the term I like to do that, which, as Dr. Marine referred to last week, requires involution. Evolution cannot happen without involution, meaning one must be involved in the practice of becoming a conscious evolution, but to do it with discernment. I looked up the definition for us for discernment today because I know I say that a lot, and I love the traditional definition, which is the ability to judge well, meaning to not beat yourself up is the way I look at it. But it's the second definition that I think is appropriate for us here. And it says in Christian context, but we can look at Christian context through the lens of tuning into the Christ-like nature that exists within all of us. In Christian context, the perception in the absence of judgment with a view to obtaining spiritual guidance and understanding. I love this. It means that when we choose to make a commitment to observe who and what we are and how we've been showing up in life and using the mental principles of life, to do that without judging ourselves, but with a view of obtaining spiritual guidance and intuition. In other words, turning it over to the thing itself, letting it guide us from the inside out. Knowing that as we do that, we'll then tune into a frequency that reflects it, which qualities include peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. Meaning that through that intention and tuning into that, having the guidance of that, will then provide us with a greater opportunity to experience that, which will feel more like our innate nature, then gives us the opportunity to put it out there and to do more of it. And to not let your ego get involved. Holmes goes on to talk about the students that become tuned into this teaching and the possibilities that can happen. And I'm going to share it with you so that we make a commitment to not be these people, not to judge ourselves, but to know that there's a higher way of being. He goes on to speak of the newly awakened student of the science of mind who finds this teaching and believes they found the truth and runs through life or a party like a house on fire, spouting these principles and telling people who are suffering from human conditions the conditions are false. We've all seen this and maybe even been that at some point. But to remember that today, as we make this commitment to wrap up these 4 chapters, to consciously set the intention to effectively use the principles of this teachings of the science of mind, and to realize that each and every individual is on their own journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, and to invite in energetically and experientially more and more and more of the awakenings, the enlightenment, the awareness that we are indeed the thing itself, and we're giving causation to our experience in the manner in which we know who we are as spiritual beings, not from a place of arrogance, not from a place of ego, but from a place of the presence making itself known to us and through us. That can only happen when we open to be more and more and more of it, and to let then the law of life respond in like kind. The question I have for all of us, I use this every year, is to know how enlightened you are. Well, if you can live without caffeine, and if you can be cheerful, ignoring aches and pains, and if you can resist complaining, and if you can understand where your loved ones are too busy to give you any time, if you can take criticism and blame without resentment, and if you can ignore a friend's limited education and never correct him or her, if you can resist treating a rich friend better than a poor friend, and if you can face the world without lies and deceit, and if you can conquer tension without medical help, and if you can relax without liquor, if you can sleep without the aid of drugs, and if you can honestly say that deep in your heart you have no prejudice against creed, color, religion, gender preference, or politics, then you've almost reached that stage of enlightenment, the same level as the spiritual development of your dog. Tongue-in-cheek, obviously, funny and cute, but it is something to prompt us to remember that there's somewhere within each of our own lives that we can let go of an attachment to something, call it a crutch, for the purpose of opening up to seeing things anew, to remember the foundational components of this teaching, and to then use it to the best of our ability, and then to see how it unfolds, and then to use it to the best of our ability and see how it unfolds, and then to use it to the best of our ability and see how it unfolds, and to let go of hanging on to what was. You know, it's often talked about a dog doesn't know if you've been gone for 2 days or 2 hours or 2 minutes. It's not really true with my dog, but I get the concept. But we do all know the excitement that they feel when you walk back in the door. That's starting anew. And that's what I'm inviting us all to do today, is to take the foundation of what was and let it be just that, a foundation, as a jumping off point for beginning to think anew today. Holmes tells us to remember that because thought is made of the stuff that forms the universe into definite creation, the law is charged with the power that we give it. No more, no less. It responds by correspondence. It's a mirror, and a perfect one. It molds our ideas and belief into visible form and casts them back multiplied. It does not know that it's doing this, but it knows how to do it. This is one of the great enigmas of the universe. That's the part I want us to use as freeing us. Freeing us today to continue this commitment to think anew, to play anew, to release anew, and to be open anew as to how it shows up. To understand that when we change our thinking and change our life, we're not here to use it in a way to carry out some grandiose idea. Not that that's not of importance. But what's more important is to find peace, to be beauty, to be power, to experience life and light and love and wisdom all in a new way. The question of the title of the chapter, How to Use It, really only has one answer. It's a simple one. How to use it? Use it consciously. That's how. Use it consciously. Remind yourself every day that you're on this journey of life, of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, and constantly and consistently continue to challenge ourselves. I've made a commitment of recently to become even more clear on the energy that I'm allowing myself to participate in the universe, to tune myself into that which I know is contributing and propagating more and more good in my life, good being a synonym for God, and not doing it with arrogance, not doing it with ego, doing it because I know, and I know that I know, that there are certain things I can change in my life, my thinking, and there are certain things I can't. And so it's important for us to remember to live out the serenity prayer, and then to let that be a catalyst for us in how we use the philosophy, faith, and way of life, the spiritual truth of the science of mind. Let's remember that this prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the thing I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We have that wisdom deep within us. I was using this cup recently and with a client as we were talking pretty much about this, and I had the cup in this hand, and he read aloud what it says on there, breaking the cycle. It starts here. And he said, how interesting and appropriate that showed up just as you said that. And I said, no, that's the wisdom part. The wisdom to know that it's always doing that. It's always showing up. It's always bringing forth through us experiences and opportunities to support the spiritual truth that there's only one power in the universe. You are that power. I am that power. And that if we're willing to tap into it and tune into it and turn on to it, it will continue to mystify us as it magnifies itself before us, before us, before us, and before us, because it's reflecting that which is within us, within us, within us, and within us. Today we close out the chapter, A New Dawn Has Dawned, and move into the next theme for the month. Love is happening through me. Yes, it's the month of February where we tune into love as an emotional experience, But I also want us to begin to open up to love as the self-givingness of spirit, whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. And it does that through you and through me. How does it do that? It does that because it is the energy of the thing itself. This past week in our meditation, I guided us through our midweek morning meditation on Wednesday using 3 quotes. I'm going to share them with us today because these 3 quotes have been a mantra for me for the last 10 days or so. And I've been using them as a trinity of a way to think, and I want you to do the same because it's a great catalyst and a tool to begin to curate a framework of mind that is building upon that which we've had before, but also to begin to give us a support system within to live life as the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity. Means the wherewithal to accept the things I cannot change, and we know what those are. The courage, living from the heart, that's what love is, where it comes from, right? The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Energy. How are we using our energy? Chapter 4, how to use it. Use our energy consciously. Here's the first quote. Energy is the currency of the universe. When you pay attention to something, you buy that experience. So when you allow your consciousness to focus on someone or something that annoys you, you feed it energy and it reciprocates the experience of being annoyed. Now, that's also the same case with things that bring us pleasure and joy. But it's speaking right now that when these things show up that annoy us, pay attention to it. Emily Marushian goes on to write in this quote, be selective in your focus because your attention feeds the energy of it and keeps it alive, not just within you, but in the collective consciousness as well. So here's the quote again. Energy is the currency of the universe. When you pay attention to something, you buy that experience. And when you allow your consciousness to focus on someone or something that annoys you or brings you pleasure, you feed it your energy and it reciprocates the experience of whatever it is that's either annoying you or bringing you pleasure. Be selective in your focus because your attention feeds the energy of it and keeps it alive. Not just within you, but in the collective consciousness as well. How to use it. The thing itself, the way it works, what it does, by being selective in your focus. By being selective in your focus. By being selective in your focus of how you're using the thing itself, that power within you that we also call spirit, as we did in our opening ritual. Spirit, quote number 2 from A Course in Miracles, is in a state of grace forever. Your reality is only spirit, meaning your reality is only being that thing. Therefore, you and I are in a state of grace forever. Now think about that. You're in a state of grace forever, meaning grace, not that some power is giving favor to you, but it's presenting itself to you, through you, always. When you tune into that, it shows up in ways you're like, I know. Yep, I know. There it is. Oops, there it is. Oops, there it is. Because it's always doing that. Because it's there forever. The grace is there forever. So then, what's important? Be selective in your focus of how you use it. Well, that's great, right? Well, then, how do we do that? The third quote, Louise Hay. Every word you speak is an act of creation. In other words, every word you speak puts into motion whether or not you're tuning in to the grace that is there. She goes on to say, the universe responds and sets in motion a demonstration. Every thought, reaction, every opportunity, every situation, it's all there, and how we engage in it is an act of creation. How we react, how we respond, how we interact with all of it is an act of creation. Why? Because the universe responds and sets in motion a demonstration. One that is not bound by time or space, which is something that is very exciting. Meaning that yes, that demonstration can happen in the twinkle of an eye, and so often does, but it also may not. Don't get attached to that. Just be open. Just be open and remember, as Holmes tells us, that you're one with and as the mind of God, the thing itself. Spirit, causation, life itself. He goes on to tell us that there is that within every individual which partakes of the nature of universal wholeness, and so far as it operates is God. Since it is what it is and works in the way it works, it appears through the individual through their belief. Through their belief. Today, I'm inviting you to believe more and more and more and more of what is possible in your life. What is possible in your life? To know that indeed happy days are here again. Why? Because they're days. They're days before us. And that we co-create the experience of our life and how we use our energy. Today I invite you to use it in a more prayerful manner. In our philosophy, faith, and way of life, we call that spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. But the keys to that affirmative prayer that are critical here is step 1, step 2, and step 3. Well, they all are important. Step 1, God is. The thing itself is. Step 2, you're it. I am too. Step 3, declaring happy days are here again. And that may be true for us as long as it's not. And then when it's not, decide again that it is. That's the way it works. It's having the imaginative ability to declare that which we do not see, but that which we feel. And that which we feel is made manifest in form. The 4th step of that is thank you, gratitude that it exists. The 5th is I release it and I let it go, meaning I let go of my attachment to how it's going to be. I want to close with reading an article that's being posted in our newsletter tomorrow. It's written by our beloved Dr. Carol Carnes, and it was published yesterday, 2 days ago, January 24th. And it speaks to the way we use our mind in an old school metaphysical way. And I want to close out this chapter and my message today with it and know that you can read it tomorrow. But it is an invitation for all of us. And so let's hear this. Let's hear it. As Emerson said, prayer is the highest kind is a soliloquy of a jubilant soul declaring to itself the perfection of its source and its own life. It's self-talk on a very deep level. It's the I is speaking to the me. There is a declaration, an affirmation of my unity in spirit with the origin of all life and my access to the vibrations contained within it. Love, joy, peace, vitality, supply, and creative intelligence. These are the components of creation at our disposal for how we use our mind. They are love, joy, peace, vitality, supply, and creative intelligence. Human experience is made up of these according to our use of them. Not just physical use, but how we think about them. She's going to say, my prayer becomes a treatment to my mind, erasing limiting ideas that have come from the outer world but have no truth in them. There is a spiritual methodology set forth by Ernest Holmes in his wonderful teaching, The Science of Mind. We call it spiritual mind treatment. She goes, you can learn it if you can find a teacher who has not abandoned, this is Carolyn wagging her finger. You can learn it if you can find a teacher who has not abandoned this method due to the influence of those who believe only a few can understand it. I do not share that belief, she says. I also do not share that belief. I know that the mind knows the truth when it hears it, and the soul celebrates it. In troubling times like these, we could use groups of people who are telling the truth and not wringing their hands and gnashing their teeth. Change always comes from a change of consciousness. What we call transformation always begins at the invisible level. Dr. Maureen talked about that last week, about we create on 2 different levels. The power of awareness cannot be discarded. Create your own circle of power with a few friends who know how to use this technique. Declare that we live in a world of peace, love, joy, vitality, supply, and intelligence. We will make a lasting contribution to the collective mind, and that will surely have its effects. It's a call, a clarion call for you and for me to think anew and to remember who we are as divine beings. We're not exclusive, but we have chosen to be awake. Let's use our awakeness. Thank you. And so it is. Todd's going to come back and share this next song that I'm so excited to hear. and has great spiritual depth.
Holiday, celebrate. If we took a holiday, took some time to celebrate, just one day out of life, it would be so nice. Everybody spread the word. We're gonna have a celebration all across the world, in every nation. It's time for the good times. Forget about the bad times, oh yeah. One day to come together to release the pressure. We need a holiday. You can turn this world around and bring back all of those happy days. Put your troubles down. It's time to celebrate. Let love shine, and we will find, yeah, a way to come together and make things better. We need a holiday. Holiday, celebrate, yeah. Holiday, yeah. Celebrate, yeah. Holiday, a celebration. Come together in every nation. Yeah, celebration. Come together in every nation.
I love it. I love that version.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for being here today.
Pleasure.
So wonderful. So wonderful.
Yes.
I know you're going to run off now to see Audra McDonald in.
I am. I got a ticket for Gypsy today to see Audra.
I'm so envious. I'm so envious.
Would you like me to sing this ditty before I go?
No, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to say go. Yeah.
It's great to see you guys. Thank you so
too.
much
Bye,
for having
Todd.
me.
Go have fun.
Thank you. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. So he was asking me if I wanted him to sing "Let There Be Peace on Earth," but I think we all know the song, and I'll pray us out in a moment, and then we can stay on and say hello if we want. Also invite you all to go to our website, csl-la.org, and find the contribution page so that you would know that we are deeply appreciative of all your financial support and welcome that. As well as you can use the app in the App Store. A big thank you to Todd, as we just thanked him and released him to go see Miss Gypsy, Audra McDonald. A big thank you to Robert Hensley, our administrative assistant, to Travis Smith, our audio technician, and to each and every one of you for being here today. Pay attention that our newsletter is going out this week. We have our midweek morning meditation on Wednesday, and just be conscious and conscientious to each other and loving with each other. We have a new thought text for the day that goes out each morning at 7:30. I invite you to appreciate that. Know that you can respond to those if you want to reply. Those we have two-way texting with a lot of people on those. So that's welcomed, and that's part of the program, the new program that we have. And I think that's it. Thank you for being here. We're back in person on the 9th of February. We're going to close out. I'm going to play some music, and instead of singing "Let There Be Peace on Earth," we'll use the words to it in our spiritual mind treatment affirmative prayer. So I invite you, wherever you are, to close your eyes if that's comfortable and safe. And the music just came back on. And let's know together that we each, individually and collectively, declare that the I that speaks to the me within each and every one of us engages in awakening our soul to a jubilant nature. And today we not only affirm, but know and know that we know and experience that knowledge and wisdom by means of tuning into the vibrations of love and joy and peace and vitality and supply and creative intelligence. This creative intelligence is making itself known through us, invoking change in physical form, in experiential form, in circumstances and conditions in our life, which is a reflection of a change of our consciousness, which we know takes place thought by thought. And then we choose to think anew, and then think anew, and then think anew. There is only one power. That power is the universal power. It's that of creation, it's of perfection, and it's of wholeness. It's doing its thing through you, through me, right now. And so we lighten up, get clearer, tune into the serenity that is within us, change the things we can, allow the wisdom to remind us of what's different, and let go of any need or attachment to attempt to change that which we can't. We are involved with our own consciousness. Therefore, we are evolving. I affirm this is true for each and every one of us. Let it be, and so it is.